This is Jordan Tower with JT News. Make sure you smash that like button, smash that subscribe, and let's get right into the news. All right, so we got Max B. Now, I'm wondering if a lot of rappers like French Montana and people might not mess with him anymore because he admitted to taking this plea deal where he makes a statement of the facts that the police have, which got everybody locked up, right? So his brother is accusing him of being a snitch, right? And I'm going to be honest. So he got 75 years. He had a horrible lawyer. They got it reduced, and they got it reduced again at one point. So the first reduction, I think it was down to like his release was in the 2030 something. And don't hold me to all this because this has been ongoing for 15 years, and there's been a lot of developments. I do remember he went back on appeal, and then he got time reduction on something else. Now, he took a plea deal. I didn't know he did that. I thought it was just he won his appeal, and they got some things thrown out, and then he got it down to 2025. I always knew it was cap when French Montana said, "Yo, friend, Max might come out this year," for the past 7 years, because it said clearly on his paperwork he's coming out in 2025, right? But I understand why French Montana was doing that. He was keeping the hype alive for Max. Now, will Cameron mess with him still? Because Cameron was open to working with him when he came home. Remember when they talked on the phone and everything? Will Wiz Khalifa work with him? Will French Montana work with him? Now that he's openly admitted this on the Danza Project, that yes, I made a statement. That's part of taking a plea deal, and I waited for everybody to blow trial. Like my brother, blew all his appeals, and the girl that was with him. I gave everybody a chance. Now I got to come home. That's what snitch stands for. Just trying to come home. So, anyways, yeah. We'll see what happens. This is always a gray subject. I see what he's saying, and I just don't know how much I think he'll be. See, this is what I think is going to happen with Max B. I don't think a lot of people are going to get into his music. They're going to get more into how crazy he was. That's what people loved about him when he was home, too. It wasn't just the music. He was crazy on the DVDs and everything. He was always entertaining, okay? I think a lot of rappers should overlook this because, listen, he wasn't even at the murder, okay? They say he orchestrated the robbery, which turned into a murder, okay? Now, say the robbery happened, right, and there was no murder. He probably, the only way he would have gotten caught up is how he did get caught up this time. The girl snitched on everybody, okay? The girl did. So, yeah, he might have gotten implicated in that, but he would have been home already a long time ago. These two, his brother and the girl, got him in a murder situation. So it's like, dude, F him, really. Honestly, I would have told on him a long time ago. Like, nah, what do you need? Oh, you need me to? I'm coming home. Because you know what? You guys ain't gonna get me into losing my whole life. He has kids. He has a wife. Come on, man. That's how I look at it, right? But hey, I'm not these rappers. A lot of rappers like listen, they're snitching, and then there's like, bro, I'm not going to jail for you, right? And because like a robbery, sure, yeah, you don't say anything, you go in. That's what it was supposed to be. You guys murdered somebody. Like, what part of the plan was that? I don't agree with any criminal stuff, period, at this point in my life. But Max B's gonna come home. We'll see what happens. I think he might be a streamer. To be honest with you, I think Max B might become a streamer, and a successful one. We'll see. All right, so, and I hope French Montana has money for him, because that whole wave of French Montana was even though French Montana had the Cocaine City DVD, the Max B situation really took French to another level. You can agree with me or not. That's what happened. That's the facts. After Max went in, he was able to like leverage that kind of stuff into like doing more shows, and then Akon got interested, not just because of that, but doing the shows and getting some more traction. Generated more stuff. Then French Montana is a hustler. So he got the record with Jadakiss, and I think was Mace on that record. New York Minute. Who was on New York Minute? Before we move on to the next story, New York Minute, French, Jada. Who else was on that? New York Minute, French Montana, Mace. Yeah. Was he in the video? I can't remember if he was in the video. I think only Jadakiss was in the video, and then Mace got on the remix. Now, DC Young Fly, let's talk about this. So, as we all know, Rick Ross walked off of his podcast at one point. And he says, I've seen Rick Ross multiple times since then. We keep it cool. I'm a fan of Rick Ross. Everyone on the show was on the same podcast. I mean, on his podcast was on this Rory Amal episode. And they said, it's no beef. It's whatever. He got up and left the podcast. But DC Young Fly kept it real. He says, no, there's a little bit of a problem there, because after he got up and just left our podcast, he went to a white podcast and did a 2-hour interview. I think it was with Nelk Boys, right? And he says, I would never ask somebody that would hurt their image. He says, so like they asked him straight up, was he an officer, correctional officer? And he eloquently answered it. But yet he left our podcast to do that podcast and sat for 2 hours. And he said that was crazy. And Rick Ross has never really addressed it. They said they act like it never happened. And he says, I'm still in my feelings a little bit, but, I let it go. That's bro, he kept it kept it real on that. It's true. Why did Rick Ross, he still hasn't addressed, why isn't anybody asking him why he got up and left that podcast? Why? Drake in the UMG case that's going on. UMG might subpoena Drake and Kendrick Lamar to testify in the Not Like Us defamation case. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Then we got Shannon Sharpe settles with that 20-year-old girl that Tony Busby was representing against him for $50 million. Tony Busby releases this. On April 20th, 2025, the Busby law firm filed a complaint in Nevada making several allegations against Shannon Sharpe on behalf of our client. Both sides acknowledge a long-term consensual and tumultuous relationship. After protracted and respectful negotiation, I'm pleased to announce that we have reached a mutually agreed upon resolution. All matters have now been addressed satisfactorily, and the matter is closed. The lawsuit will thus be dismissed with prejudice. Let's put numbers. I'd say $5 million was dished out to make this go away, because Shannon Sharpe has a $100 million deal on the table. So it's not that you don't want to keep dragging this out, doing that. Settle it. I bet you he doesn't get a $100 million deal anymore. It's probably like an $80 million deal. Because they're going to use that against him. They are. If anybody can get a better deal, they're going to go for it. But, yep, you settled that. Pusha T continues to diss Travis Scott to sell his album. The album's good. I like the Clips album. So, I just don't like the Pharrell tracks on it. But I like the album. It's something to listen to right now. We're not getting a lot of great music. I appreciate the album. I don't like the Travis Scott album at all, to be honest with you, but a lot of people do. It's just not for me. But he continues to do some. The different pictures were put up, and they reacted to it. And with him, they said, "Why? Never." It's like I don't know. It's because the whole surprise of when they heard Travis's album a few years ago. It was played for Pharrell and the Clips in France at a Louis Vuitton event, and then they didn't hear any diss towards them or Pharrell. But then when the album comes out, now there's an added verse with Drake. It wasn't even that long later, and he's dissing Pharrell and everything. He just felt it was like, you want to be down with us, but over here, it's like, it's like whatever, In India Love, she cries on stream because, she's getting into the cloud chasing and tried to, like, out her sister with her there, and now her sister's not talking to her. She's crying. Well, don't be a streamer, don't do the antics. And we'll talk more about this, but 50 Cent is taking his baby mom to court because he owns her life story. There's a G-Unit publishing contract in place from 2007 when they settled their the taking care of his child. He made her sign over her life rights. He owns her life rights. This is the same thing with Big Meech. Big Meech can't talk about his life story because 50 Cent owns it. Anytime he tells his life story now, I'm pretty sure 50 Cent can take him to court. So he can't really do too many interviews and make money off of it. Big Meech, I was talking about Big Meech. Big Meech is in big trouble with that. But anyways, yeah, she's been ever since when the Diddy trial started happening, she started telling like personal stories about 50, and he owns her life rights. So, sorry, cannot do that. Anyways, this is Jordan Tower with JT News. I'll check you guys in the next one. Smash that like button for me. Peace.